When the devil realized that he had access to the sea and to the earth, well, we know what he was going to do to the sea. He was going to manipulate it and mislead it as much as possible. He wasn't going to destroy by means of World War III or use soldiers to go out and kill everybody. No, he wasn't going to do it that way. But when he entered the earth, it was very, very different. The devil knew that the resistance was gone. He could do whatever he wanted to do and begin fooling those who were of not right in heart. At the same time, knowing he was going to lose those that wouldn't stay, that knew their God, as Daniel says. The first came with the deal breaker. Remember Ezekiel, we were reading how Jehovah considers his nation like a wife. And now she's become an adulterous wife, spiritual adultery, causing Jehovah to sever and break the covenant that he has with his nation. See, what the governing body did with the United Nations, that's not forgivable. Jehovah says no. That's gone. That means that the nation of Jehovah's Witnesses is no longer jit to Jehovah. Now again, XJWs, we're only pretending that they are Jehovah's nation. And I'll get to my point when it's ready. But this is where they severed the ties, when this came out. September the 8th, I believe. I need my glasses. Hold on. I'll be right back. September the 8th, 1991. There it is. And in this whole article, 3 articles to be exact, this one, what is happening at the United Nations? Talks about its goals and its aims and what it's trying to do for the world, and how paint a pretty picture pretty much as the United Nations as a noble organization. Then, why the need for a league arose? Well, to bring peace to all mankind. And since the league didn't work, well, they came up with the United Nations. And things were going to get a lot better. Much better. You wait and see. And, well, the United Nations, a better way. And it talks about the goals of the United Nations, what it wants to do for mankind, and how the whole world will be happy under the United Nations. And all of their goals and their aims and their efforts to bring peace to all mankind. Not one thing about Jesus' kingdom. Not one thing about Jehovah. So what the governing body was doing when they wrote that article, they were walking between the raindrops to appease the governing body. 92 passed, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. Forgot to mention. The assemblies of 97 and 98. You know, the governing body, they were bragging very, very much during the assembly conventions of all the good that they were doing at disaster areas. All the good that they were accomplishing. But guess what? That was their responsibility as an NGO to the United Nations. Once the brothers brought that out, when they found out, oh, this is why you're bragging. Because of your responsibility toward the United Nations. It wasn't because, oh, you were Mr. Goody Two-Shoes and you were doing this in Jehovah's name. No. Or because you had the spirit, a jolly, jolly, jolly spirit. No. It's because that was your responsibility. You had to do that. And you also paid money dues with the brothers' funds that they give to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Well, how do we know that this relationship actually existed? DPI NGO. I'm going to read it to you, word for word. Department of Public Information, Non-Governmental Organizations, Section, United Nations DPI NGO, March 4th, 2004. To whom it may concern. Recently, the NGO section has been receiving numerous inquiries regarding the association of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York with the Department of Public Information, DPI. This organization applied for association in DPI in 1991 and was granted association in 1992. By accepting association with DPI, the organization agreed to meet criteria for association, including support and respect of the principles of the Charter of the United Nations and commitment and means to conduct effective information programs with its constituents and to a broader audience about UN activities. In October 2001, the main representative of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York to the United Nations, Cedar Alucino, requested termination of its association with the DPI. Following this request, the DPI made a decision to disassociate the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York as of 9th of October 2001. Of course, they're still in association with them because they know the United Nations, they have to keep it hidden. Please be informed that it is the policy of the Department of Public Information, the DPI, of the United Nations to keep correspondence between the United Nations and NGOs applying for association with DPI confidential. However, please see below the paragraph included in all letters sent to NGOs approved for association in 1992. The principal purpose of association of non-governmental organizations with the United Nations Department of Public Information is the redissemination of information in order to increase public understanding of the principles, activities, and achievements of the United Nations and its agencies. You see, the governing body said, we did this so we can get a library card. But what they actually did was sell the soul of the Watchtower to the United Nations in order to get that library card. Consequently, it is important that you should keep us informed about your organization's information program as it relates to the United Nations, including sending us issues of your relevant publications. We are enclosing a brochure of the United Nations and non-governmental organizations, which will give you some information regarding the NGO relationship. In addition, the criteria for NGOs to become associated with the DPI include the following: that the NGOs share the ideals of the UN Charter, that article, operate solely on a non-profit basis, have a demonstrated interest in the United Nations issues, and a proven ability to reach large and specialized audiences such as educators, media representatives, policymakers, and the business community. Have the commitment and means to conduct effective information programs about UN activities by publishing newsletters, bulletins, and pamphlets regarding or organizing conferences, seminars, and roundtables and enlisting the cooperation of the media. We expect that you will share this information with your concerned colleagues as we are unable to address the scores of duplicates, requests regarding the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society that are being directed to our offices. Thank you for your interest in the work of the United Nations. Sincerely, Paul Hofield, Chief NGO Section, Department of Education, Information. Here's the proof. You see, it was not just about a library card or getting information from the Library of the United Nations. You can get that anywhere, any kind of statistic. You did not need to go to Jehovah's enemy to that length of committing yourself and abiding by the UN Charter, the scarlet-colored wild beast, as the governing bodies claim it to be, which I believe it is. The counterfeit kingdom that is against Christ's kingdom. Now, what's interesting is that a sister long ago, back in 98, she was giving an experience, a regular pioneer, here in Dallas, at one of the congregations. She was in New York, going out from door to door, where the UN delegates stayed at the hotel or the apartments where the UN delegates stayed. He knocked on one door and she did her presentation, presented the Watchtower, presented the awake. And after she did that, she said that she noticed the man was very quiet, didn't say much. And the man just looked at her, dead square in the eye, and said, "If I were you, I would get out of your religion." Kind of an ominous thing that the UN delegate, told the lady. You see, back in the 80s, when the governing body had just written Revelation, its grand climax is at hand, and sent it in for copyright, well, the Copyright Office brought it to the attention of the United Nations. We're the wild beast, huh? And the scarlet, the harlot is religion. Well, I don't know why we'd have anything against the harlot or against religion, because they're all practically NGO members. They're helping us. So they invited the officers and a governing body member to the United Nations. And they asked them, what did it all mean? So the members of the Watchtower, they proceeded to tell them what the information meant. The destruction of religion at the hands of the wild beast. And so that's how the meeting went. The explanation as to what was in the book, Revelation, its grand climax at hand. So when the meeting was over and the brothers were about to leave,